Hello, adventurer. It's good to see you. You have made it to the morning grind.
Welcome, welcome.
It's the live stream at the beginning of the Geekverse, where we talk about all types of topics in geekdom, gaming, and fantasy, with an emphasis on being constructive and creating the things that we want to exist in the world.
It's all on the grind, Sizemore. Can't be too fine, can't be too coarse.
That's exactly right. There are a lot of adventures to be had today. Dungeons to explore and monsters to slay, and who knows what a random encounter might send our way. That's why we have to prepare, so settle in now for the morning grind with your favorite beverage in hand.
Tea? Or maybe something a little stronger. I've got a few bottles of the old Wynyard left.
Whatever you want. Pull up a chair.
Dude.
If you're feeling fancy, how about a cappuccino? Or a frappuccino? Or how about an espresso?
Just tea, thank you.
Sounds good to me, Gandalf. Whatever you want. I'm just glad you're here.
Everyone is welcome. You can just watch if you want. You don't have to worship anything you don't want to worship.
Thank you, Mike. But be forewarned.
Sometimes we get really strange characters around here.
Wait, what's that you say? Why can't you come and be a part of the stream?
My wife would disown me.
Oh no, I bet she'll be fine with it. Come on in.
Am I scared for my safety? No.
What are we supposed to do?
Everybody do the secret handshake.
Secret cultist handshake.
Oh, now do wizards who love each other.
Yeah.
This, my friend, is a science.
I still don't have gifts, but it's fine.
It's all on the grind, son. Can't be too fine, can't be too coarse.
Dude, this would be a sick place to bring the band.
Indeed it would be, Dave. It really would. I'm seeing more people coming in. Welcome. Glad to have you here. Oh, look, here's someone new.
Is this the cultist meetup?
Yes it is.
Come to hang out? Please accept me. I have nothing else.
Okay, we accept you. Everyone's welcome here.
Brought some snacks.
Well, that makes things even better.
You want some coffee?
I don't drink coffee.
You sure? It's cultist coffee.
What makes it cultist coffee?
I'm a cultist and I'm drinking it.
Oh. Then I'll have some.
What exactly is going on here?
I'm seeing more people coming in. Welcome. It's so great to have you. Oh, and look, here comes another stranger.
Can we help you?
Yes, fellow cultists. I could really use some food.
Oh yeah? Welcome. We have donuts.
Oh, it's me. I'm glad I'm here. I'm sure you have a few questions for me, though.
What's your name? Who do you work for? What god do you worship?
Great questions, Rob.
I'm Steve King, and I worship Nyarlathotep.
No, not really. I'm just Heath, and I won't be worshiping anything this morning. But I will be your host. Welcome to the office. We're going to have a great time. I've got my coffee ready, because now it's time for the morning grind.
If you could become a fish, that would be amazing. Then I could command you with my mental fish powers.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning. How are you? Welcome to the morning grind. It is so good to see you this morning. I finally got up at a reasonable time and was actually working this morning. Spent about an hour this morning working on the Tales of Ravivania script. So that was great. See, I went ahead and took a shower this morning because I got to get out of here as soon as the morning grind is over, because I've got a lunch meeting today, and then I also have a Hero Quest game with the family and the nephews that is going on this afternoon. So I'm going to lunch, then I'm going to go play Hero Quest. So it's going to be a good day for me. I hope it's a good day for you as well. Yeah, you know what? James says, man, I need some coffee. George says, good morning. Time to heat up a cup. I actually do have coffee this morning. I'm drinking some witch's brew right here. It had been warmer around here, and I hadn't felt like having some coffee in the morning. There's a bit of a chill in the air today, and so I made some coffee. So good morning, Silver Phoenix Rising as well. Good to see you. Zero Theory is here as well. Hello, everyone. So let's see. We are going to be taking a look at the Book of Vile Darkness today. We may go through a bit more today because I think we were on spells and things like this. This book has been very interesting. I was just seeing somebody posted a comment on one of our other shows, as on the replay, posted a comment that said this was their favorite Dungeons and Dragons book ever. So there is a lot of love out there for this book. Hey, Vision. Good morning, Vision. Good to see you. And it has certainly generated a lot of conversation around here, and I found some things in it that I think are interesting to use. So this is interesting. So we will continue with that. Let's see. I was also thinking about, I just saw that Paizo posted a statement about AI art, and we have, hey, Retro Nerd Girl. Good morning, Retro Nerd Girl. I noticed that Paizo posted a statement about AI art on Twitter. Let's see here. Okay, let me come over here. I posted the link in the Discord server. Let me come over here to first the Discord server. If you're not part of the Discord server, I really would like to invite you to the Discord server here. Raven Keep Discord. I put a link to the tweet. But then also I figured, hey, I'll share, because we were talking about AI art. We've got a place for AI or AI in games, discussion of AI in games on the Discord server. And so I posted this link there, and I was wondering what people thought about it. So since this was topical, I said, there have been many questions about the future of AI art and text within the TTRPG industry. The short answer is Paizo stands with artists and writers. They say that Paizo and artificial intelligence, over the last few months, the world has seen a huge upsurge in the interest, use, and quality of algorithm-generated imagery and text. Since we launched the company in 2002, Paizo has made its reputation with the assistance of countless traditional artists and writers who are just as integral to the success of our games as in-house creators, art directors, designers, and developers. The ethical and legal issues surrounding AI art and writing prompt programs and the serious threat they pose to the livelihood of partners who have helped us get to where we are today as a company demand that we take a firm position against the use of this technology in Paizo products. In the coming days, we will add new language to the creative contracts that stipulate that all work submitted to us for publication be created by a human. This will further add guidance to our Pathfinder and Starfinder Infinite Program FAQs, clarifying that AI-generated content is not permitted on either community content marketplace. So even the community content. So if you're creating material, I guess that means, and you're uploading it to the community content marketplace, you are not allowed to use any type of AI material either. So our customers expect a human touch to our releases. So long as the ethical and legal circumstances surrounding these programs remain murky and undefined, we are unwilling to associate our brands with the technology in any way. Stated plainly, when you buy a Paizo product, you can be sure that it's the work of human professionals who have spent years honing their craft to produce the best work we can. Paizo will not use AI-generated creative work of any kind for the foreseeable future. I think it's interesting that they do say any kind for the foreseeable future. This is a pretty seriously hard stance, I suppose, against AI art, not even allowing it in the community or AI-generated material in general, even on the community marketplace. But then they say they won't allow this for the foreseeable future. So that does sound like an out there. We think the human artists and writers who have been so integral to our success in the past, and we look forward to working with them in many years to come. What do you think about that? And if you want to talk more about it, what do you think about it? Let me know. We can talk about that here for a moment. But also, if you want to talk more about that in detail, go over to the Raven Keep Discord, and in the art AI for games, I saw that people were already writing comments and stuff like that. Good morning, Vanessa. And Toadstool Hollow. James Bacon says, I don't know if Paizo really needs to even make a statement on AI art. They lean heavily on Wayne Reynolds' art for illustrations, which no one wants to change, and we all own that. You know, sure, there are some artists who are upset, but I'm also following a whole bunch that are like completely embracing the AI side of art as a tool for generating stuff and creating more art. And man, they can do some absolutely brilliant stuff. The artists who I've seen who have embraced the AI side of things, man, they're just like going to be freaking unstoppable. But I guess they won't be able to work for Paizo for the moment, right? James says, Reynolds is my favorite fantasy artist of all time. Yeah, having said that, AI is happening whether we like it or not. It does seem like a huge advantage to all of a sudden give up. Like with this tool and stuff like that, that if they're serious about that they're not going to have it, that's a huge tool and competitive advantage that they are deciding to give up on. I expect that they will change, especially as artists just begin to, those that haven't already, those artists start to incorporate more and more and more AI into their workflows. And then, to me, it's a tool like Photoshop, So, and if they've got this hard line that, well, no, wait a minute, you can't use that because it's just going to be integrated into people's workflow. Millmaster says, translation, until we can copyright AI content, we won't use it. Zero the Blade says, AI program does make things easier, but you lose all the creativity of the ever-evolving talent. The Last Phoenix says, well, they just want their market to be to market for human-created stuff. Hey, Sable Phoenix. It gives them time to hone their craft, Silver Phoenix Rising says. Zero Theory says, it's their choice. They are the big company, big enough to take that stance. For small-time folks, it can be a real money saver. And things will happen that will not happen otherwise. I know that, for instance, in order to produce a high quality, because we see a lot of art, we see a lot of badly illustrated RPG books. Like the ones that I've got over here, we've got good ones, but then I also see some that are badly illustrated. And I see a lot that are so illustrated. And a lot of that has to do with the money available to pay the artists and things like that, and what artists you can afford to hire and so forth. And now we have a way to get fantastic looking art very inexpensively. And it seems like we should see, again, a major renaissance and explosion of human creativity, because there are probably a lot of people out there who are writing campaign settings and want to do RPG books and campaign settings, myself among them, but haven't been able to get $30,000 or $40,000 together to pay an artist to have a really good looking book for it. But now that book is going to be able to be released, because that all of a sudden has not become an obstacle. So I think in all things, we're about to see an explosion of human creativity. Like everyone who has, lost connection to my camera. Everyone who has not been able to, hang on just one second, let me fix the camera. Hang on. Everyone who hasn't been able to, there we go, afford that kind of stuff all of a sudden is, and we're going to get a lot more stuff. Now, the problem is that we're about to see so much more stuff that we've already got more stuff that we're drowning in. We cover all kinds of stuff here on this channel. There's more of it to look at than I possibly can. And we're about to see even more. But like I said, just an explosion. Retro Nerd Girl says, AI is a toll. If they can figure out how to compensate an artist, it will always, if they can figure out how to compensate artists, it will always be an issue. AI is currently a Chinese room. It's just a combination. It's just combining existing content in ways that sound accurate with zero understanding behind it. Well, maybe. I don't know enough about how the human brain works to understand whether or not people I'm talking to actually have an understanding of what's going on or not. Sable Phoenix says, I'm kind of worried about the creativity starting to suffer from an Ouroboros effect, feeding on itself as creators use AI for inspiration. But it's just recycling all the old ideas. Well, we've been recycling old ideas ever since we've started cave painting. How many brand new ideas do we actually have? Like completely generatively new ideas. Human beings do that all the time. We take inspiration from everything that's gone before us. You could say that, how many of these stories are just recycling the hero's journey? We talk about that on Table Talk. Or, man, this is just recycling the themes of Shakespeare things. Yeah, a few look like they were just made by untalented people bumbling through Photoshop. See, that's going to be an issue too, Millmaster. AI is just a buzzword with a little definition of what it is or is not. Okay, so we were talking about that. I do want to say also, I want to do kind of like a 72-hour productivity challenge. Then we're going to get to the Book of Vile Darkness. But if you're not part of the Discord server, I was trying to come up with a way to hold ourselves accountable, because people were talking about that in the productivity section. And we used to do the wind down, which I still want to do. I just haven't been able to do it recently because we've been working on other things. But I'm thinking about doing a 72-hour productivity challenge. So if you are a creative person, or if you are trying to do anything, actually it doesn't have to be creative, but if you want to do like 72 hours worth of productivity and holding ourselves accountable, I'm thinking about doing that and starting tomorrow morning. So today I'm going to be out because I'm going to be playing games and things like that. But then starting tomorrow morning, I was thinking, let's try to do 72 hours of trying to hold ourselves accountable to fantastic days. So we'll do that in the productivity section of the Raven Keep Discord. So if you want to join the Discord server, and then we'll put down like what we were trying to accomplish, what we're trying to do, and then we can hold ourselves accountable. We can hold ourselves accountable in the Discord chat by typing in there and writing things. That'll be easier than having to do a whole live stream. So if you want to be held accountable, hold yourself accountable to get some things done, let's do a 72-hour challenge. Let's do a 72-hour productivity challenge. I got out of my habits and I want to get back into them. So join the Raven Keep Discord server. Check out the productivity channel. We're going to be doing that there. I'm going to look at some more of these AI comments in just a second. But let's go ahead and sip and breathe. Got your mug? What's your favorite beverage? Let's do 2 breaths, deep inhale, complete exhale, and then take a sip. You'll feel better. Do it with me. You'll feel better. All right. There we go. I don't know that Sable Phoenix. I don't know. It's not just. It's not crawling the. I don't think that's right. And combining. It's not combining things that's crawled the web for. I don't believe that. That's not the way that diffusion algorithm works. I don't think. Humans are creating the art from AI. The only art appears as humans design it. The human element is there, and it takes skill to get the proper results. Let's go over to the auxiliary camera system. Wrong button. Here we go. Okay. It's Book of Vile Darkness time. People are have all kinds of comments on the AI thing. I think it's it's a fantastically interesting discussion. Let's see here. See, I don't know. AI is a tool for mediocre people so they can drown out talented people in the industry. See, I tend to think that it could be the other way around. That typically what happens when you digitize things is that the mediocre people are the ones that lose out. Because like if you want like am I really worried about talented artists losing their jobs? No, because if you are a massively talented artist, you are going to you're still going to be able to find work, and you're probably even going to integrate AI into your workflow and become even more talented, be able to produce more, and just become supercharged here. But if you want to make your living as a mediocre artist, you know, in the past you've been able to make a living as a mediocre artist because not everybody has access to the top artists. We were talking about that, and we're just talking about, well, there's a whole lot of mediocre illustrated books I got back there. So there were clearly people who were making money as a mediocre artist. So now, if you want to make money as an artist, you got to be an extremely talented top-level artist. That just seems to be the way that digitizing everything goes. Kind of like when you digitize music. There were a lot of people before the advent of even records who could make a living being a mediocre singer. You could just, because that's what was around. If you want to listen to somebody sing, well, you know, who's here in your town where there's this mediocre person? But then as we can start to digitize, and everybody can listen to the very best singers, because you can just get an album or a record, or you can just digitally stream the best singers. It's the people who were trying to make a living as a mediocre singer that lost out. I expect it's going to be kind of similar here. All right, so now we are over here to spells in the Book of Vile Darkness. And I don't want to go over every single spell. There's no time anyway to go over every single spell here. Let me see. Try to get a little bit more light on the subject here. But I am kind of interested in flipping through, because a lot of this book is spells. But I'm kind of interested in flipping through and seeing the kinds of things that are added here. Which ones kind of catch our eye, because I bet there are some pretty cool spells to drop on unsuspecting heroes that that we haven't seen before. And actually, you know, right away, right here, I am seeing the spell Bestow Greater Curse. We talked about that one, and we were looking for it. So this Bestow Greater Curse is in here. Did we find that one? So Bestow Greater Curse The caster places a curse on the creature touched, choosing one of the following effects. The ability score is one ability score is reduced to 1, or 2 ability scores take -6 penalties. -8 penalty on attack rolls, saving throws, saving ability checks, or skill checks. Each turn, the subject has a 25% chance to act normally. Otherwise, he takes no action. So those are one of 3s that you can put on there with bestow greater curse. So that does sound like just enhanced versions of the bestow curse spell. Bestow wound. Let's see here. Bestow wound. Let's see. If the caster is wounded, she can cast this spell and touch a living creature. The creature takes the caster's wounds as damage, either 1 point of damage per caster level or the amount needed to bring the caster up to her maximum hit points, whichever is less. The caster heals that much damage as if the cure spell had been cast on her. But that's touch. So you touch someone, but I guess when it's talking about wound, we're just talking about hit points worth of damage here. I'm going to go over and see what's going on in the comments a little bit here. Yeah, see, Sable Phoenix, I agree with that. Saying that there are a lot of creatively talented people out there who haven't learned the skills, software, whatever, to create their vision. Because everything, a lot of these things are entire career tracks. I had that situation with myself. All right, what do I actually need in order to bring all of my vision to life? Well, it was like several careers worth of learning to do. And so that just wasn't possible. But with AI, in that case, AI creation could be a huge boon. That's why I'm thinking that it's going to be an explosion of human creativity, just like the indie game scene that's exploded with easy to use engines like Unity. Yeah, see, I agree. Oh, coffee time. AI opposition is unfolding exactly like the printing press opposition did, and Photoshop. You know, I remember when Photoshop was coming out, and if you were like an artist at a booth or something like that, people would ask you, "Now, did you really paint this, or did you use Photoshop?" People were very much against Photoshop because they didn't think that that was actually creating anything. Things like ChatGPT specifically are designed to scrape the web for their resources. I'm no developer, but I've read enough about it that if you're using ChatGPT in a development capacity, you can set up what addresses it scrapes. Oh, Silver Phoenix Rising says, I'm an artist who is on the fence about AI. I do feel the fear of being pushed out because of it, but I do feel that it could be a powerful tool for use as well. AI as a mediocre artist is one thing, but wait until your boss or traffic judge is a mediocre AI. Well, one thing that worries me is that 95% of the people are satisfied with AI-generated art, and only the top connoisseurs will be willing to pay for human commissions, raising up the prices. See, that's what I was talking about. So, yeah, there will be people, you know, will you still be able to make a living? If you want to make a living as a traditional artist, that's exactly what I'm thinking, Last Phoenix. You'll still be able to do that. If you are one of the very best human traditional artists, then there will be people who really want human art and will be willing to pay a whole lot for it. And you will be probably in a position to command very high prices. But only the top people will be able to do that. And because also the number of people who will be paying for that will be comparatively smaller. But you can still do that. I've got friends who make a living as medieval armorers. I mean, there are still people who really want handmade medieval armor, even today. So it's not like, even though now we have tanks, machine guns, and atomic weaponry, that we've lost the skill to make, you know, gorgeous medieval salets and bassinets and the cuirass, you know, hand formed. No, they're still out there. There aren't as many. I don't know too many people who make a living as a medieval armorer, but there still are. I mean, it's not like we've lost that skill. Yeah, exactly. Oh, exactly. Zero Theory brings up blacksmithing. Exactly. There's still blacksmiths today. So what else is going? Bone Blade. I want to take a look at Bone Blade. Necromancy. The caster changes a bone at least 6 inches long into a long sword, short sword, or great sword, caster's choice. This weapon has a +1 enhancement bonus on attacks and damage for every 5 caster levels. Furthermore, this blade deals an extra 1d6 points of damage to living targets and additional 1d6 points of damage to good aligned targets. Well, that's a cool spell. Change a bone into a longsword, +1 enhancement bonus for attacks and damage per caster level, every 5 caster levels. But +1d6 bonus damage to living targets and additional 1d6 damage to good aligned targets. I think I would use that spell. Let's see. Cruel disappointment. I don't know if we need cruel disappointment around here. There's enough disappointment. Dance of Ruin, a necromancy spell. To cast the spell, the caster dances wildly and chants. After finishing her dance, a wave of crackling energy flashes outward to the extent of the range. All non-demon creatures within the area take 2d20 points of damage. Dark Bolt. The caster makes a ranged touched attack against a foe, launching a bolt of cold darkness from his left hand. This bolt deals 1d8 points of damage per 2 caster levels, maximum of 5d8. Half of the damage is cold and the other has no specific type. When struck, the foe must... That's the first time I've ever seen something like that. Talking about half the damage being of one type. It may be out there, but that's the first time I've seen it. So for Dark Bolt, half of the damage is cold and the other has no specific type. When struck, the foe must succeed a fortitude save or be stunned for 1 round, overwhelmed by the evil charge of the Dark Bolt. People are... see, Phoenix, that's a good point about armors. Also, horse breeders still exist after the advent of cars. Yep. Oh, Sable Phoenix says, as someone who's been using Photoshop since version 2, I can say firsthand the art industry will definitely not be killed by AI generation any more than digital art tools. It's only going to result in more creation. I think this is going to result in a tremendous amount of creation. Actually, one of the things that I was thinking of is that I'm a person who actually needs thousands of images. I need thousands of images for what I want to do and for the development of the kinds of things I want to do. So it just was not possible. That was always an issue. That's been the issue for years. Getting art created is always been a major obstacle toward accomplishing the things that I want to get done. Because I need thousands of images. I need more image than a non-augmented, let's say non-augmented human being can create. So I think if you're an artist and you embrace AI, one of the things your customers are going to be demanding is they need more images. Instead of taking weeks to produce one, they're going to need several hundred images. And there's no way that you as an unaugmented human are going to be able to create that. But if you embrace the AI technology, when your customers can be saying, I need 500 images of this, and I need them next week. Well, what are you going to do? You're going to use AI. And that's because your customers are going to demand more. Your customers are going to demand more quantity of art at a quantity that you're not going to be able to produce if you are a non-augmented artist. The thing is, learning neural networks could be approaching a singularity. We just don't have the capacity to extrapolate where they're going to develop themselves into. Hey, Randolph. Good to see you. Let's see. What else have we got? Death Grimace. The caster marks a corpse with a particularly magical signature, thus identifying himself truthfully or falsely as the murderer. Oh, so this is some way to get around, maybe some ways to get around conversations with dead creatures and trying to figure out who the murderer is. So Death Grimace says the caster marks a corpse with a particular magical signature, thus identifying himself, truthfully or falsely, as the murderer. Some assassins use this signature as a sort of calling card, while others use it as a way to prove that they earned their pay. Oh. This signature can also take many forms. A specific expression on the face of the corpse, hence the name of the spell, an actual rune, a word written on the corpse's flesh, a discoloration of one eye, and so on. Oh, okay. So it's not exactly what I was talking about. It is like a calling card. Demon flesh, despoil. Do you have any specific ones we should look at, Sable Phoenix? I'm just looking at ones that particularly have interesting names to me. Let's take a look at what is Distort Weapon. This spell makes a weapon strike true against good foes. Any threat of a critical hit against a good foe is automatically confirmed without a roll. This was back when you had to confirm crits. The weapon can also harm good creatures that have damage reduction, as if the weapon had +1 enchantment bonus. Individual arrows or bolts can be altered, but altered projectile weapons such as bows don't confer the benefit to the projectiles they shoot. This spell has no effect on any magic weapon that already has a special ability related to critical hits, such as a keen or vorpal weapon. Dread Word. The caster speaks a single unique word of pure malevolence, a powerful utterance from the dark speech. See Chapter 2. We covered the dark speech in here. The word is so foul it harms the very soul of the one that hears it. The utterance of a dread word causes one subject within range to take 1d3 points of charisma drain. The power of the spell protects the caster from damaging effects of both hearing and knowing the word. To attempt to speak this unique word without using the spell means instant death and no effect, because the caster dies before she gets the entire word out. Eternity of Torture. See, Sable Phoenix says, there's one where you cause the target's bones to grow calcified spears out of their flesh. Oh, maybe we can find that one. What is Eternity of Torture? This is level Pain 9. Do we actually have a new school or something here? No, it says, okay, this says Necromancy Evil. Level Pain 9. What does that mean? Oh, Pain Domain spells. Oh, so we've got Cleric Domains. The new domains, I skipped past that. The new domains described here use some of the spells in this book, as well as many other spells from the player's handbook. The deities mentioned include several demon lords and archdevils. Ordinarily, such a figure does not grant spells, but one may act as a patron for clerics with the given domain, whether or not that cleric worships a specific deity. Good morning, peeps. Good morning, Jason. Well, I brought up the subject early on, subject of AI. So I was planning on having an entire discussion on AI. I thought that was an interesting thing that I just saw this morning on Paizo's. So I do think we need a dedicated stream on AI. So I think we need to do that. Maybe next week. Maybe next week we just hold an AI discussion. I wonder if there's somebody who'd be willing to come on and have that discussion. Is there somebody that I should invite? I sometimes have difficult time getting people to just coordinating, having people on Table Talk. But if there's somebody who you think would be a good person to discuss the state of AI in games and things like that, let me know. We might be able to have him on. But also, we probably just have a fantastic discussion specifically on AI. Okay, so we did get more cleric domain spells. Cleric domains. We got the bestial domain. We got the corruption domain. We've got the darkness domain. We have the demonic domain. We have the diabolic domain. We have the greed domain, and we have the pain domain. So that's why pain had come up there. So that was pain. Okay, so pain 9. So that is the eternity of torture right there. So I guess we got corrupt spell, blackguard spells. So we did get more cleric domains. That does sound useful. Let's go over. So we were on the eternity of torment, eternity of torture. The subject's body is twisted and warped, racked forever by excruciating pain. The subject is rendered helpless, but as long as the spell continues, it is sustained and has no need. Let me start that over. The subject is rendered helpless, but as long as the spell continues, it is sustained and has no need for food, drink, or air. The subject does not age, all the better to ensure a true eternity of unimaginable torture. This subject takes 1 point of drain to each ability score each day until all scores are reduced to 0, except Constitution, which stays at 1. The subject cannot heal or regenerate. Lastly, the subject is completely unaware of its surroundings, insensate to everything but the excruciating pain. A single fortitude saving throw is all that stands between a target and this horrible spell. However, even if the saving throw is successful, the target still feels terrible but temporary pain. The target takes 5d6 points of damage immediately and takes a -4 circumstance penalty on attack rolls, saving throws, skill checks, and ability checks for 1 round per level of the caster. That sounds terrible. Cleric Domain of Greed. I wonder what sorts of spells that would yield. Let's take a look. Cleric Domain of Greed. Okay, so what kind of spells? So the deity Mammon, it says, we looked at somebody who was like a disciple of Mammon or something like that. That was a prestige class. But Greed Domain Mammon. Granted power, characters gain +2 competence bonus on appraise, open lock, and pickpocket checks. Greed Domain spells. Cheat. Caster rerolls when determining the success of a game of chance. 2. Entice Gift. Creature gives caster what it's holding. Entice Gift. Creature gives caster what it's holding. 3 is Knock. Opens magically locked or sealed door. 4 is Emotion. Arouses strong emotion in the subject. 5 is Fabricate. Transform raw materials into finished items. 6. Guard and wards. Array of magical effects protect the area. 7 is Vanish, as teleport, but affects a touched object. 8 is Phantasmal Thief, creates an unseen force that steals from others. And 9 is Sympathy, object or location attracts certain creatures. So that's what that would be. Bone Blast. Let's go and look at Bone Blast. So the spell part of this seems like a very useful part of this. Bone Blast. I did skip over Bone Blast. So Evil Necromancy says the caster causes some bone within a touched creature to break or crack. The caster cannot specify which bone. Because the damage is general rather than specific, the target takes 1d3 points of Constitution damage. A Fortitude saving throw reduces the Constitution damage by half or negates it if the full damage would have been 1 point of Constitution damage. That one would be fun if you could be a bit more specific with it. Fun, I say. I wonder, so the evil eye here. The caster focuses malevolent wishes through her gaze and curses someone with bad luck. The subject takes a -4 luck penalty on all attack rolls, saves, and checks. The spell ends at the next sunrise when dismissed, or when a remove curse spell is cast on the subject, or when the caster takes at least 1 point of damage from the subject. Oh, flesh armor sounds weird. Bone Blast is incredibly flavorful. I love it. Sable Phoenix says, I mean, you could just hold on to the target and keep casting it. Well, that's true. Because you're taking Constitution damage, so that's going to kill you pretty fast, right? Well, could, if you're holding on to somebody. Especially if they're, like, restrained or tied down or something. Flesh armor. Prior to casting flesh armor, the caster flays the skin from a creature of his size and lays it upon his own flesh, wearing it like clothing or armor. Once the caster casts flesh armor, His skin develops resistance to blows, cuts, stabs, and slashes. The caster gains damage reduction 10 plus 1. So the way that was written in this edition, that should be a reduction of 10 points of damage, which is a lot. A caster gains damage reduction of 10 points of damage, but it can be bypassed by +1 weapons. Once the spell has prevented a total of 5 points of damage per caster level for a maximum of 50 points, it is discharged and the skin slowly rots, shedding in patches like the skin of a molting snake. Material component, a bit of flesh torn from the caster's body during the casting. Focus, the entire freshly harvested skin of another creature of the caster's size. That one's got some flavor in it too. If you described what somebody was looking at, for a bad guy, like what exactly is going on. What is Heart Clutch? The caster holds forth his empty hand, and the still beating heart of the subject appears within it. The subject dies in 1d4 rounds, and only a heal, regenerate, miracle, or wish spell will be able to save it during this time. The target is entitled to a fortitude saving throw to survive the attack. If the target succeeds at the save, it instead takes 3d6 points of damage plus 1 point per caster level from the general damage to the chest and internal organs. The target might still die from the damage even if it succeeds the saving throw. A creature with no discernible anatomy is unaffected by this spell. That is a cleric level 5 spell. Transmutation spell, evil. Hell's Power. Yeah, I was thinking about Temple of Doom as well. Sable Phoenix says, 5e has so many missed opportunities, and getting rid of almost all damage reduction is one of them. The only real DR is resistance, which has become incredibly rare. I think you're right. I think you're right about that. I was thinking about how does that, I don't remember that from 5th edition at all. That's the first time I've seen that in a while. It's like bringing back all those memories. So right now they only have resistance to certain types of damage. So damage reduction, yeah. It's I don't know what you don't want to use maybe you wouldn't say the word streamline, but now everything, if you got resistance to something, you take half damage, right? And then that's just it. Do we still have in 5th edition? Well, I guess you have immunity to some kinds of damage. You have resistance to some kind of damages, which is you take half damage, but then you've got immunity as well. I suppose there are still things that can only be hit by magical weapons. I think I would remember that. Hell's Power. The caster summons evil from the 9 hells and bathes himself in its power. The caster gains a +2 deflection bonus to armor class, as well as an upgrade of his existing damage reduction. By something +1. Oh, so DR10 /+1 becomes DR10 +2, for example. Oh, so the caster summons evil energy from the 9 hells and bathes himself in its power. The caster gains a +2 deflection bonus to armor class, as well as an upgrade to his existing damage reduction by +1. So I suppose if you don't have it, no, it says upgrade to existing damage reduction. I suppose if you don't have damage reduction, then it doesn't work, because that wouldn't be upgrading existing damage reduction. The last Phoenix says 5e is so binary. You either have advantage or not. You either have resistance or not. George says resistance is the strength of being a barbarian and raging. Here's that Phantasmal Thief. So Phantasmal Thief was part of being a greed cleric. So an invisible force, not unlike an unseen servant, comes into being where the caster wishes. On the caster's turn, this force steals objects from others as she inaudibly directs it, a free action. A Phantasmal Thief can only steal from creatures. It cannot break into locked chests or steal unattended objects. A Phantasmal Thief has a hide bonus of +20, useful against those who can see invisible creatures, and a move silently bonus of +20. If a Phantasmal Thief goes undetected, it can steal any object a creature possesses, but is not carrying or wearing. Every object in a bag of holding can be stolen. Oh, even objects in a bag of holding can be stolen. It can only steal objects, bring objects to the caster, or put them back where they came from. It can take no other actions. A Phantasmal Thief takes 1 round to steal an object, another round to bring it to the caster. A Phantasmal Thief can only hold 1 object at a time. the object becomes invisible in the grasp of the phantasmal thief. Oh, so you don't see it floating around. It becomes invisible. The phantasmal thief cannot take an item if the thief is detected by the creature it's trying to steal from, usually by a listen or spot check. However, the thief can repeat the attempt next round. It cannot be harmed in any other way, although it can be dispelled. A phantasmal thief can also steal an object from a creature's hand. It does this as if it had the improved disarm feat and a plus 20 strength bonus. If a phantasmal thief is used this way, it disappears after it brings the stolen object to the caster. Right. Last Phoenix says, I think it just means it stacks with the existing DR you have. Yeah. So if you don't have any, then but the problem is I was trying to figure out if you don't have any, does it add a level to you or does it not apply? James Bacon says, I don't know if the greed domain is necessarily evil, more like chaotic useful. That does sound pretty useful. Phantasmal Thief, when Unseen Servant goes bad. That's the spell I wish I could cast. Unseen Servant. I need an Unseen Servant around this house. We're going to have AI generating by movies and things like that, and I'm still going to have to go in there and clean my own kitchen. Preserve organ. Necromancy. The caster preserves a single severed organ from a living creature so that it does not decay or rot. Evil casters use preserved organs as material spell components. There are ritual uses for body parts as well. We did see some of those earlier in the book. The organ is kept in the exact state as it was when the spell was cast. If a heart is still beating and bloody, for example, then it remains that way. You have canopic jars of preserved organs. That's a necromancy. It's a cleric level 0, druid level 0, and wizard sorcerer level 0 spell. So you can preserve a lot of organs. I didn't remember that spell. It sounds incredibly useful and super frustrating for my players. I know what spell I'm going to give a House Vladum in my Tallest campaign now. Yeah, particularly since it can repeat. Even if you detect it, it can just try again on the next turn, and all of a sudden the item goes invisible. That sounds extremely useful. Yeah, I'm waiting for kitchen robots. I'm waiting for kitchen robots. I know I'm waiting. The problem is that robotics has been hard. Robotics has been hard, much harder than the digital AI stuff. But yeah, if I had an Unseen Servant, man, my desk would not be nearly this messy. Like with all the painting stuff and everything else that gets attracted to my desk, I need an Unseen Servant. Whole house. I'm sitting here working, you can just be cleaning. Let's see. Here is Shriveling. There was somebody who had to be able to cast the Shriveling spell. One of the prestige classes. So Shriveling is a necromancy, evil spell, cleric level 3, sorcerer level 2. The caster channels dark energy that blasts and blackens the subject's flesh. The subject takes 1d4 points of damage per caster level. It's close range, 25 feet plus 5 feet per every 2 levels. Slow consumption. The caster absorbs the life force and physical form from a living subject and uses it for itself. The victim must be rendered helpless to cast this spell upon her. For that day, the caster heals twice the normal natural rate and does not need to eat. The subject, on the other hand, does not heal naturally that day and takes 1 point of constitution damage. As long as the caster touches the subject once per day, he gains the benefit and the subject takes the constitution damage. If the caster does not touch the subject within 24 hours the last time he touched her, the spell ends. Villains often use this spell on prisoners who are sometimes sustained by lesser restoration spells, so they can serve for years as evil sustenance. Oh, that's cool. Oh, we lost the video feed again. Wonder what's causing that. Hang on. It even lost the extra camera. The auxiliary camera system. Let's go over to it. We're back now. Maybe. Yeah, I would love to talk to him. I like the slow consumption spell. That does seem like exactly something that an evil wizard or sorcerer or something would have. You've got all these victims trapped, and that you're using them. You heal at twice the normal rate and do not need to eat. But on the other hand, the subject does not heal naturally that day and takes 1 point of constitution damage. So, but you can keep them alive with lesser restoration. That's from the main book, right? I don't think it's a bandwidth issue. I think it's actually a physical component issue. Let's look up lesser restoration. Oh, lesser spells that change. So restoration lesser. See, that's so useful. See, I feel like this book is more useful in, this is the 3rd edition player's handbook. When I looked up lesser, because I was like, am I supposed to look up lesser? It says, any spell whose name begins with lesser is alphabetized in this chapter according to the second word in the spell name. Thus, the description of a lesser spell appears near the description of the spell on which it is based. Thank you so much for telling me that. That seems like something the 5th edition book would not tell me. So if you were using this... Oh, I don't see restoration in here. Oh, wait. Here it is. Lesser restoration. Lesser restoration dispels any magical effects reducing one of the subject's ability scores, such as Ray of Enfeeblement, or cures, so this is an or, dispels magical effects reducing one of the subject's ability scores, such as a Ray of Enfeeblement, or cures 1d4 points of temporary ability damage to one of the subject's ability scores, such as from a shadow touch or from poison. It also eliminates any fatigue suffered by the character and improves an exhausted condition to fatigued. It does not restore permanent ability drain. Oh, so this says... Well, this says it takes 1 point of constitution damage, but specifically says villains often use this spell on prisoners who are sometimes sustained by lesser restoration spells so they can serve for years as evil sustenance. What would be particularly horrific is if you were using that Eternity of Pain spell and also leeching off them with this spell. Let's see. Song of Festering Death. The caster sings a wailing undulation or ululation, requiring a successful performed singing check of DC 20. If the performed check succeeds and the target fails a fortitude saving throw, the subject's flesh bubbles and festers into persistent blobs, dealing the subject 2d6 points of damage each round. If the subject dies, she bursts with a sickening pop of steamy gore, spills onto the ground, as a steamy gore spills onto the ground. Well, that's disgusting. Soul Shackle. The caster draws out the soul of a dead creature and imprisons it within a specially made talisman. The subject must have had the talisman in his possession when he died, or the spell cannot function. Henceforth, if the talisman is in the caster's possession, she can call forth the soul of the subject and question it about what it knew in life for up to 1 round per level each day, asking 1 question per round. The soul looks as it did in life, including the clothing and equipment it had when the day it died. Answers are clear, complete, and precise. If the subject is hostile, or the answer to the question is an important secret that it had in life, the subject gains a will saving throw. A successful saving throw indicates the spell ends and the soul departs to the afterlife. That's pretty cool, too. So this is a Bard level 5, Wizard and Sorcerer level 5 spell. You give this person a talisman, a specially made talisman. So you do have to give the target the specially made talisman. Henceforth, if the talisman is in the caster's possession, she can call. Then you take it, and you get to question it for 1 round per level each day. If the subject is hostile, or if the answer to the question was an important secret to it in life, you get the will saving throw. So I guess that's every time. So it might depart, but that's pretty crazy too. Lesser Restoration was very different in 3.5 compared to 5e. It sounds like a bardic lich spell, yeah. Oh, thank you. Thank you, Sable Phoenix. Let's see. Stop Heart. You know, some of these were death spells, like that bring your heart or into your beating heart and it kills into your hand and it kills the person. We did cover death magic. We talked a little bit about specifically having death magic in games because we talked about that in the context of the GURPS book that's actually death magic that specifically covers death magic and how to incorporate that into your game. So here we've actually got some death spells over here in Dungeons and Dragons as well. This is probably a death spell as well. Stop Heart. Channeling hatred and spite, the caster calls upon dark power to give the subject a massive heart attack. The subject suddenly drops to -8 hit points, then -9 hit points on the end of this round. If someone immediately makes a successful heal check or somehow gives the subject more hit points, she stabilizes. Otherwise, at the end of the next round, the subject reaches -10 hit points and dies. That is an assassin, I believe that is, level 4 spell, cleric level 4, and sorcerer wizard level 5 spells. But it's only touch, so it's a touch spell. 1 living humanoid or animal. Fortitude will negate. Otherwise, heart stopped, and you're out of here. Very fast. Let's look at Steal Life. The caster taps onto the life force of a subject and drains it away, adding it to her own. Each round the caster concentrates, she deals 1 point of ability score drain to the subject. So we're talking about ability score drain. Although the caster can choose which of the ability scores to drain, she must choose a different ability score to drain in each round and cannot choose a score already drained until she has drained all of the others equally, at which point the process starts over. Thus, if the caster drains 1 point of strength, she must choose another ability score the next round and cannot choose to drain strength again until she has drained 1 point from each of Constitution, Dexterity, Intelligence, Wisdom, and Charisma. Then the caster can drain a 2nd point of strength, but not a 3rd. Okay, we got that. If the caster casts the spell on the night of the full moon, she becomes effectively 1 week younger for every point she drains. That's cool. This is close range too. You don't have to be touching. It's close range, 25 feet plus 5 point per 2 level. 5 feet per 2 levels. So if the caster casts the spell on the night of the full moon, she becomes effectively 1 week younger for every point she drains. Her age is reduced, but memories and abilities acquired during that week are not lost. Otherwise, the subject takes an ability score drain, but the caster gains nothing. That's cool. The subject withers and shrivels as the caster drains its ability scores. When the subject's constitution score reaches 0, the subject becomes a horrid dried husk and cannot be further drained. If the caster dies while concentrating on this spell, all the subject's lost ability scores points are immediately regained. Sable Phoenix says, I remember thinking that a lot of these spells are way overpowered for their level. Pretty sure most of this book is just meant for the DM only. I can think of things to do with Steal Life as a game master. I can think of exactly the kind of bad guy who would be using that. Unliving Weapon. What time is it? Because I do have a lunch today. Let's see. How much more we got in magic? Oh, okay. Well, magic items. Let's go through the spells. And then we'll have to look at magic items later. Unliving Weapon. This spell causes an undead creature to explode in a burst of powerful energy when struck for at least 1 point of damage, or at a set time no longer than the duration of the spell, whichever comes first. The explosion is a 10-foot radius burst that deals 1d6 points of damage for every 2 caster levels, maximum of 10d6. While this spell can be an effective form of attack against an undead creature, necromancers often use unliving weapon to create undead capable of suicide attacks. Well, that's what I was thinking of. I guess you could use it to blow them up, but I was thinking of creating like suicide attack undead, if such a term can be applied to something that is already dead. Skeletons or zombies with this spell cast upon them can be very dangerous to foes who would normally disregard them. I mean, that I was thinking zombies. I would put it on zombies, and you deal 1 point of damage to the zombie, and it explodes. The PCs would not be expecting that. Weave of Pain. All living creatures within the cone are overwhelmed or overcome with pain and suffering. They are stunned for the duration of the spell. A creature with no discernible anatomy is unaffected by this spell. Withered Limb. The caster chooses to wither either an arm or a leg of the subject. Withered legs force a character to fall prone and make it impossible for them to move for more than 5 feet per round. Withered arms make it impossible for a character to use objects or cast spells with somatic components, and the subject must drop anything that she was holding. At the end of the spell's duration, the limb returns to normal. Rack is the subject is racked with such pain that he doubles over and collapses. His face and hands blister and drip with fluid. His eyes cloud with blood, rendering him blind. Ugh. For the duration of the spell, the subject is considered helpless and cannot take actions. The subject's sight returns when the spell's duration expires. Even after the spell ends, the subject is still visibly shaken and takes a -2 penalty to attack rolls, saves, and checks for 3d10 minutes. Well, I think the spell section was cool. I mean, it's evil, but yeah, that does seem like a pretty useful spell section for things to throw at the heroes. So I continue to be a fan of this book. Hopefully, we can get. We'll look at the good equivalent, the Exalted Deeds. That's it, the Book of Exalted Deeds. I want to look at that one too. I want to look at Dark Sun. There's still a lot of things I want to take a deep dive into that I think will provide the same kinds of conversations here. So, all right, I do have to get out of here because I've got to pack up a little bit, because then I've also got to, because I got to get out of here for lunch and then go play Hero Quest. So if you want to continue the AI discussion, go over to the Ravenkeep Discord. I'm going to put a link. I'll put a link to this video since we had some discussion in here, but also there are a lot of people who are talking about that Paizo situation over there in the Discord server. So that's a good place to go and see what other people are talking about. It can also be a longer form conversation. So check out there. Also, tomorrow morning, I'll probably post something about, if I can, I'm going to be gone most of the day, about some type of productivity challenge that we should do over the next 72 hours. We'll put that in the productivity section of the Ravenkeep Discord. Please join us there. I look forward to seeing you there. Have a productive day, have a creative day, and everybody grind on.